In California Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu. He's the co-chair of the Democratic Policy and Communications Committee. That's a leadership position. He was also an impeachment manager for the second impeachment of former President Trump. Congressman, it's good to have you on. This January 6th Commission report, what did you learn from it that you didn't know from the quick investigation, because time was of the essence, that you and the impeachment team put together before the trial?
Thank you, Chuck, for your question. I commend the Senate for this bipartisan report. It does a good job of documenting the security failures on January 6th. But January 6th didn't happen because there were security failures. It happened because there was a violent mob that attacked the Capitol. And we know why that happened. This report does not address that central issue, which is why we need an independent January 6th commission or to have a select committee or a standing committee investigate that very question. I learned some more color as to what happened on January 6th in terms of very specific statements made by police officers as to what they were experiencing. But I think we all knew the general context that there were, in fact, security failures that allowed this mob to enter the Capitol.
Look, we can hindsight, alternative history, is something that is what novelists can do. But what would have happened if the impeachment trial hadn't started until March 1st and you had done 6 weeks of investigatory work? Had we had that, would it feel as if we wouldn't need a January 6th commission? I mean, I keep thinking about that. And do you ever look back on it and wonder, was that a missed opportunity?
So we wanted to have the impeachment trial as soon as possible for two reasons. One was to hold the former president accountable. And if you recall, at that time, he was still in office when the article of impeachment passed. And we didn't know what other crazy things the former president might do. So we needed to remove him from office. The second was to establish a historical record for future generations so they know what happened on January 6th, what led up to it, and what its consequences are. If we had the impeachment trial later, it still would have served that function. I'm not sure we would have gotten much more evidence because the Republicans would have objected to the subpoenas and simply have gone to court and delayed the ability to get any more witness testimony.
So let me ask you this. A January 6th commission the odds look longer today than they did even yesterday. So short of that, what do you think are the best of the other options available that you'd like to see that could give? I mean, and here's the goal. We want to get as much credibility with the results that are found by the said entity as possible. If not a commission that's bipartisan and equally divided, what do you think is the next best alternative?
My view of politics is that everything seems impossible until it happens. So it's certainly possible that the Senate could still get this independent commission through, and I think the Senate's going to try again. If it does not happen, then Speaker Pelosi can certainly set up a select committee or charge the standing committees to do the investigation. Either way, the truth is going to come out. The Republicans cannot stop the full truth from coming out to American people.
What would a subpoena witness list look like for you, assuming that whatever entity we have that investigates does have subpoena power?
One of the questions we could not nail down is why did it take so long for the former president to have any reinforcements come in on January 6th when we all knew that there was this insurrection and we were watching this on live TV? So who did he talk to in those critical hours where he did absolutely nothing? And what did the White House chief of staff know? What did other enablers know? What did Kevin McCarthy know? So those are, I think, answers that this commission or select committee or standing committee would investigate.
And, when you look at sort of the fact that Republicans seem to somehow believe now that, you can't, they're afraid of what's going to be found. So if they're afraid of the political fallout and our politics are designed the way it's designed, where that political party will decide that the 2022 matters more than anything else, how do you get around that? How do you hope that you don't get this select committee hijacked by the Republican opposition?
It is disappointing that more Republicans aren't willing to put country over party. However, in Congress, we have had select committees in the past. We also have our standing committees, and the American public will see what's happening. So you're going to have a number of these hearings that are going to be public, and they can see the witnesses actually testify, and the American people can make the decision for themselves as the evidence that they're seeing and hearing with their eyes and ears.
Hey, I want to ask you a question about a Dear Colleague letter the Speaker sent to members of the Democratic conference earlier today about H.R. 1 versus H.R. 4 in particular. And one of the things, I want to highlight something in the letter that was written there, and it said this: H.R. 4 must be passed, but it will not be ready until the fall, and it is not a substitute for H.R. 1. Congressman John Lewis wrote 300 pages of H.R. 1 to end voter suppression in H.R. 1. Senate 1 must be passed now. It would be our hope to have this pass the House and the Senate in a bipartisan way. Two things here. You know, I heard you say earlier, hey, you don't think anything's impossible. Sometimes in politics, everything looks impossible until it happens. There's another view of politics that says, hey, politics is the art of the possible. And H.R. 4 certainly looks a lot more possible right now than H.R. 1. At one point, do you think the focus should be about getting H.R. 4 done? Because it does seem to unite the party a bit more and possibly get some Republican support. H.R. 1 leads to divides inside the Democratic Party. Your thoughts?
We're going to keep fighting to get both H.R. 1 and H.R. 4 through. You're correct that H.R. 4 has more support. And in fact, Senator Joe Manchin appears to support an even more expansive H.R. 4, which would apply pre-clearance authorization to all 50 states, not just a select number of states. I also want the American people not to be dispirited about what's happening, because even though you have these bad voter suppression laws being passed by Republican legislatures, they cannot actually stop you from voting. If you're registered to vote, you can vote. And I think there's going to be a huge backlash next year with a lot of angry voters who are going to go out and vote to show the Republicans that they cannot suppress their vote.
No, look, the issue is the administration issues. And there's an argument to be made that actually a new Voting Rights Act might be a more powerful weapon against that than anything H.R. 1 could do. But we'll find out with the courts. Hey, Congressman Ted Lieu, it's good to have you on. Thanks for coming on and sharing your perspective with us, sir.
Thank you, Chuck.